Donald Trump calls on Europe to shoulder more responsibility in Ukraine issue. During a meeting in Paris with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and French President Emmanuel Macron, U.S. President-elect, Donald Trump emphasized Europe's central role in supporting Ukraine and monitoring the ceasefire to end the conflict. According to the Wall Street Journal on December 14th, Mr. Trump called on European countries to deploy military forces to monitor the ceasefire in Ukraine and to equip weapons to prevent attacks from Russia. He declared that he did not support Ukraine joining NATO, but affirmed that he wanted to see a strong Ukraine, capable of defending against threats. However, Mr. Trump said that the U.S. would not send troops to Ukraine, but would only provide support in other forms. Europe needs to take on the primary responsibility for protecting and supporting Ukraine, Mr. Trump emphasized. The Russian challenge and unresolved issues. Discussions about deploying European forces to Ukraine are still in their early stages, with many unanswered questions, including which countries would participate, the size of the force, and whether Russia would accept the presence of NATO troops in the region. Trump has also called on Europe to put pressure on China to force the Kremlin to end the conflict. One idea floated is using tariffs on China as leverage if Beijing fails to cooperate. While Trump has said he wants a quick end to the nearly three-year-old war, he has not offered any concrete plans. Some of his advisors have said that the transition team is still working on proposals and that the president-elect has not made a clear decision. The ceasefire and Ukraine's pain. Achieving a ceasefire will be difficult, especially given Russia's demands. A ceasefire along the current front lines would mean Ukraine temporarily surrendering control of 20% of its territory, which would be a huge blow to Kiev. Mr. Trump has criticized the Biden administration for providing weapons to Ukraine that can strike deep into Russian territory. "I am very much against firing missiles hundreds of miles into Russia," he said in a recent interview with The Times. However, some of his advisors have supported the decision, arguing that it could give the U.S. leverage to pressure Russia into negotiations. The pivotal role of Europe and the U.S.-Europe has provided more aid than the U.S. in the long-running conflict, but Washington remains a key player in providing military aid. Europe's limited military capabilities have left Ukraine largely reliant on the Pentagon to sustain the war. President Zelensky is reportedly open to negotiations to end the fighting. "There must be an immediate ceasefire and negotiations should begin," Trump wrote on the Truth Social platform after the Paris meeting. However, observers say the plan to end the conflict remains vague and depends on further negotiations after Trump takes office. A final decision on how to approach the issue will come after his national security team is assembled, and there are further talks with allies, as well as the possibility of a direct meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. As Trump prepares to take over the White House, the future of the Ukraine war remains a big question mark, with many challenges ahead.